Hey, happy Friday morning to you. Ryan Martz here, founder of Martz Leadership Services. I have three things that we want to go over today. One involves standard, we'll just call it standards. Second thing, speaking. Third thing, scouting. First off, before that though, I want to talk about time and having a secret place. Time, I had a gentleman come by to do some work at the place last evening, and his son was murdered here in St. Louis. I'm downtown right now. Beautiful qualities. Good morning to you. Son was murdered earlier this year. We were talking about family and protecting your kids and priorities, and boy, it's just it's amazing. We just have to squeeze life out, right? Just gotta, if you got breath in your body, you just gotta live, right? Make the most of it and cherish. And the greatest legacy we can give isn't money, but it's our love, our care for our kids, our family, our loved ones. So I just want to encourage us to squeeze life out, The other thing, in that same conversation, he was telling me about someone speaking bad about him as a father to his one of his own kids, and here's what we can say. And if you heard my podcast the other day, in the eventuality of time, all things work out. Like you just keep doing the right thing, having the right intent of the heart. Things will work out. Time will be your friend, and the people that only want to catch a half sentence or two of your life and not really stay around for the whole novel, then don't even worry about it, right? They're going to frame their own opinion after 3 words of one sentence that they caught of you when you were 25 years old, whatever, 15 years old or 40 years old, whatever the case is. So number one, let's just cherish the time. Number two, probably not a lot of people know this, but over a decade now, I was driving a minister man to a meal, lunch, and he was a visitor, well-known man, and he was telling me about how he had these times away when he was young, and that it was still he was still reaping results at an older age from these times of dedication that he had at a younger age. He was speaking more specifically about fasting. But what I want to open it up to is the fact of just being able to have a secret place in your life. Religion aside, spirituality aside, to be able to have a time for you, even if it's small increments each day. Maybe it's some type of, but even more than that, I think, when we can dedicate a period of time, maybe it's some type of thing, a space away, not saying to go to Tahiti, but even if it's in the back part of your living room, 4 a.m. mornings for 21 days, some type of committed period of time. Maybe it is fasting, something where you can look back as a memorial in your life, some type of landmark that you can draw strength from. Over a decade now, when my daughter was young, I really felt this thing in my heart to really have this time away, and just for me it was fasting. I did about a 40-day, I did a 40-day fast. I was working full-time at the time, so obviously I was having liquids to survive. I had 2 business function meals. Thank God I didn't throw up and get sick. Those are just 2 isolated things, but it was a 40-day fast. And very, very, very significant time. I lost 40 pounds in 40 days, went from 200 to 160. And, the funny thing is, you'd think you'd be on cloud 9 after that, right? But it was such a moment, this huge, beautiful thing that happened in my life, that it's it made this secret place, emotionally, mentally, that I can tap into and draw strength from really any time, like over a decade later, I'm still drawing on strength from that experience. And I say that to say that, like it was funny, like, it was actually after that experience, like down the pipe a little bit, that I actually, went through a horrible hell in my life, like stuff that was like, holy cow, like a bomb went off in my life, bombs up. And so, I guess what I want to say is, when you can take time for yourself and work on your own personal development, your own leadership development, it's not just for that moment. That's giving you a bank account, a reservoir of mental and emotional strength and maturity and wisdom to pull from when life gets chaotic and hectic and you're not able to, have as much free time, or, you're multitasking, So over a decade later, now I'm a single dad and my kids are busy, and I'm just like, Mr. Soccer Mom over here without the minivan. Like, I'm still drawing off of that strength from when I had that period of time when Christiana was just a little girl. So to pull full circle here, the number one thing is, let's cherish the time and that we have, and in the eventuality of all time, in the eventuality of time, your story, truth is truth, right? Now number two, the other point I was making is, I just want to encourage you to, have some time away from yourself, for yourself in this life, where you can, fill up the gas tank, allow yourself to get filled up, not just go on E, not just a quarter of a tank, not just check to check, fill up the tank, emotionally, but, really allow yourself to get a deeper feel up and feel strong and healthy emotionally and mentally, and take some time for yourself. Take some time for yourself. And that brings me to the point of the three things that I wanted to mention to you, where we're really focusing over the next number of months with the March Leadership Services. One is just our standard foundation, which is basically 2 free consultations. Look, anywhere in the world, any circumstance, if it's something that I don't deal with, or someone that I can be connected to deals with, then I guess may not work out as well perhaps, but and it's not just utilizing me, it's more of a network of people across the whole globe. So two areas of focus that we might, not limited to this, but one is in the area of negotiation. Another area is in the area of personal health, especially if you're a company, a church, a team, any type of corporate format where you're trying to already project 2020. The key is going to be having your teammates, your staff members feeling personally healthy, so that they are able to be in a place where they can be healthy and giving and productive for your team. So you can't just start that in January. If you want team results in January, you got to start the personal development months before. So 2020, if you're in a team environment, the personal health and outlook for individuals on your team really starts already. Definitely the last quarter of the year. So again, always 2 free consultations with either me or someone else. You could be anywhere on this planet Earth. It can be any circumstance, and we'll at least talk about it a little bit. More of an area of focus for the next few months is going to be negotiation and personal health. Reach out to me. Packages, we can make them, we can customize it, we can work with budgets. Number 2 is speaking. So the first one is standard. That's just our standard foundation, 2 free consultations, boom. The second one is speaking. There is some geographical preferences that I have, but also, we're talking international. But for this next number of months, we're focusing a little bit more on St. Louis area, Chicago area, and Indianapolis area. So basically, if you have a small group setting, you need it's a corporate event, and you need things addressed like personal health, teamwork, leadership development. It can be a church, it can be a sports organization, a corporation setting. We can work out details with your budget. I'm a little bit flex with that, and how we can make it feasible for everyone. But you know, if you want me to come speak to your group, that's something that we can work out, and we can kind of make sure that we're addressing it. It can be a simple speech, it can be a little bit more hands-on, and that is all customizable. The third thing is scouting. So as many of you know, the March Leadership Services, one of the developmental factors of it, or components of it, has been student athlete development. Over the last year, I've incorporated myself more in the scouting world, working through an organization nationally here with the NCSA. So what I'm aiming to do then now with scouting is to not just collegiate scouting, getting a young man or young woman on a prospect list, but also perhaps the mentorship side of it, the human or character or leadership development side of it. So we have both. I'm going to be having both an in-season offering and like a pre-season offering. And we're not just talking about the psychological side, but on the pre-season side, even working out. Hey, don't let your kid hate you. Let them hate me. I'll go work them out. I'll get them in shape. And you can just be the happy parent that can they love, and you can buy them an ice cream cone. Let them hate me. But one thing that I want to focus on before the video gets too long here is this year in St. Louis, what I'm open to is supporting, and we can support more than this, no doubt about it, but high schoolers in the St. Louis metro area, 2 girls basketball players and 2 boys basketball players. Ideally, we're looking for either a sophomore or a junior varsity player. And I can work with finances and all that. That's no big deal. But what we're looking at doing is $1,000, and whether the family can do it or we need to combine sponsors, that $1,000 scouting package is going to provide scouting analysis on that player. It's going to provide a student athlete evaluations. So not just hey, this was a good move on the court, but hey, how's your academics doing, SAT prep, that type of thing. Mentorship, leadership development. Basically what I'm going to do is be an uncle to them, a big brother for during the season, kind of put my arm around them and see if that can, the thing is, there's a lot of great young people out there with good support systems, but sometimes it's just someone coming alongside saying, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that, and really prepping yourself to make something happen, not just sitting back and saying, oh, I hope, Coach K comes to watch me. Hey, but hey, how can I make this feasible? How can I make my dream a reality? How can I make this sensible, practical, and obtainable? So big highlights is standard speaking. So the standard package is 2 free consultations, speaking engagements, my calendar's open through the end of the year, and scouting services. So which again is more than just your traditional scout work. We're talking about leadership development. If you have people that you think this would be a blessing to, give them my info. I can connect with them. Whatever. If there's a financial hardship, again, there's workarounds. There's people we can make. I'm not gonna not help someone if it's due to finances. Okay, we can work it out. But again, the highlights from the beginning is time. Hey, let's just all cherish our time. Don't worry about the people who are going to read a half sentence of your life. I mean, whatever, they'll think what they want anyway. Keep living out your story, and like I said, take some time for yourself, mentally, physically, emotionally. get to a healthy spot, because one day, 10 years from now, that future you will thank you for that, and so will your kids and everyone else, because the best legacy that we can give is not a dollar bill, not an allowance, not some type of house, in the Florida Keys. It's really providing that family heritage, that legacy. And and I'll conclude with this: it doesn't matter what background you come from, what family background, religion, whatever. An individual can change the course of generations to come. So it all starts with us, and it starts with our legacy. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. 25 anniversary blend, eh? It's some good stuff.